Hey, welcome to the conversation that's as diverse as the dogs that we adore. This is Gun Dogs and Guard Dogs, the ultimate podcast dedicated to talking sense about dogs, with Les Graham and Ross McCarthy. They work with all breeds of dog, but one specialises in gun dogs and the other prefers guard dogs. No flashy trends or social media hype here, just tried and true knowledge that stands the test of time. They bring you valuable insights and honest conversations about the social predator you share your home with. So here we go. About 45 minutes of gun dogs, guard dogs, good dogs, some maybe not so good dogs, and a dash of gossip.
Okay, here we go again, and we've got another guest episode, Les, haven't we, today?
We have indeed.
We are joined by one of our former students, Clair Brady, who drove from way down south to way up north on a couple of occasions in an old van that we didn't think was going to make it some years ago. And Claire's had quite an interesting journey over the last few years, from sort of dog behaviour and through photography and all sorts of life events. So Claire's come on today to have a little chat about life, I think. Welcome.
Yeah. Hello, nice to see you both.
And you. Oh, thanks for coming in, Claire. I'm really glad you have, because I've been desperate to talk to you about stuff.
Thank you for having me.
You can say kind of on the record that we don't look any different, like you just said.
Yeah, no, you don't. You don't look any different at all, and it's been many years.
It has been a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I'm surprised that van made it as well, to be honest.
So
I love that van.
When was that? Because that was in Penrith, wasn't it? So I was in Scotland then, so it must be about 8 years ago.
Was it 2004 or something mad like that?
No, it was about, I was just trying to work it out, actually. My dog training journey began in 2012.
Right.
So it was quite a long time ago when I first started. Well, I got my first dog as an adult. I got my first dog, thinking that I'd done all of my research, and I'd had a little bit of come into some money, and I thought, I was at home at the time. I was a foster carer. We were all kind of settled in life, and I thought, right, now is the time to add a dog into our lives. I'd always wanted a German Shepherd, so I did all my research about the breed, and I really just wanted a dog that was capable of going out on long walks, that was trainable, and to be part of our family. And so I did all this research and decided to go and find a puppy. And so I went to this breeder. And I hate to say, I got completely sucked in. And all of that research that I did, it didn't go out of the window, but I just believed what she said. And I ended up with a very poorly bred German Shepherd puppy. And it started when we went in. There was this sign outside saying that they had some puppies for sale. So we went in, and she had this very sprawling sort of yard, lovely big farmhouse. It really looked the part to a new dog owner that doesn't really know any different. It really looked the part. She had all the rosettes on the wall. Granddad had won Crufts, and I thought that was a great thing. But I can imagine that the two of you are like cringing on the inside at, oh no, that's not what you look for. And I do know better now. But at the time, I thought, wow, this lady knows her stuff. She was very authoritative, as you can imagine. She took us down to these stables. She had extra staff that were helping her, and lots of other dogs running around. And then she said, oh, this one is with this puppy, is the last one left, and he's with his auntie because mum needs a break. And I didn't know any different. So we went to see to see this puppy. And of course, first thing she does is pops it into your arms,
Oh,
and the rest is history. We brought home this puppy. Um, it wasn't quite ready yet, so when we went back to see him again, he was walking around, and he just had a real like a swagger. You know, the back end kind of, he was very sort of slinky in the way that he moved. And his hocks are really flat to the floor, on the back end. And I was like, is he walking okay? And she's like, yeah, he's fine. He's just young. He'll come up. His hocks will come up, is what she said.
All this language that they use, like the terminology,
Yeah.
they're like, you know what I mean? You're just like,
I
okay.
know. So we took Puppy home, and he had the most amazing temperament. He was beautiful, and he was so keen to learn, and we really bonded with him, and I started dog training classes with him, and he was wonderful, and I did all the things that I thought I should do, that I'd learned online, and he was amazing. But I still had this issue with these hocks, and I went back to see her because she was also selling us his dog food. So yeah, and I said, oh, he's still a bit wobbly, and she was like, oh no, he's fine. Then I went back again, and he had a runny eye, and I said, oh, he's still not right on his back legs. And she still said he would come up. And I said about this runny eye, and she said, oh, well, that's okay, because when you show him, you just put some mascara on and some eyeliner, and that'll just cover the marks up. Was her advice. I thought, this isn't right. So I took him to the vet, and the vet said we wouldn't normally do x-rays at this young age. He was 6 months at this point. He said, we wouldn't normally do x-rays, but we're going to. And it turned out that he had hip dysplasia on both his legs. Both of his knees were turned in to face each other. He had issues with his tear duct that needed an operation, and his bottom teeth were growing into his top jaw. He was going to need basically two new hind legs by the sounds of it. And this is going to be lots of operations and lots of time, lots of crate rest. And I just thought, it's not fair on him. And we decided to have him put to sleep, and it was utterly heartbreaking. And I was fuming, and I went back to the breeder, and I said, I've had to have this puppy put to sleep, and I'd like my money back. And she was cross because I didn't go back to her first and offer her the puppy back. So that was quite an eye-opener. And when I asked for my money back, despite this huge sprawling estate that she lived on, she said, oh no, you'll have to wait until I have more puppies because I can't afford to give you your money back.
Wow.
And then when we did go to get the money back, she of course tried to put another puppy in my arms instead. And I said, no, I don't want any more puppies. Thank you. And so that was the beginning of my dog training journey, because I realized that through taking him to these classes, I realized that this was great. And the person that I used to teach the training classes, I thought was really good. I thought, oh, I would love to have his job. I think he's great. And at the same time, I'd started thinking about, dog walking and training myself. And so, yeah, that was the beginning of it. And so I continued going to his classes just to help out. And I really had this real feeling that I wanted to help educate other people not to make the same mistakes that I had made, because despite all the training and research that I'd done, I still got sucked in by the wrong person.
It's heartbreaking, isn't it? I mean, we talk quite often, obviously, having dogs, we all go through this hideous process of euthanasia and stuff. and it's horrible when you've had a dog for like 15 years or whatever. But to cut a life so short that could have been, so much better due to someone else's just greed and negligence is just
It was
hideous.
shocking. And the worst thing was that I then started my own classes after having come to you guys at CIDBT, and driven all that way in my clunky old van that barely made it. I don't know how it made it, honestly. I don't. And yeah, traveling up and down the country a few times to come and see you guys. I started my own classes, and a few years later, this German Shepherd puppy came into my class, and it was like my Rico was there. He looked exactly the same. He had that same. Unfortunately, he had that same. I don't know what you call it really. I call it a bit of a swagger, He just wasn't right, and I said to the owners, I said, "Oh, did you get this puppy from?" And I won't say the name of the breeder. I said, "Hey, yeah, how did you know?" I said, "Oh, he just looks like mine." And they started asking me questions about what I thought about this breeder and what I thought about my puppy.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up having to have this conversation that I'd had to have mine put to sleep. And they were so, I wouldn't say glad but they were relieved that because she'd been making them think that it was them and the dog would be fine. And they felt exactly the same as me.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up also having to have theirs put to sleep. And so,
that's awful.
yeah, so this person carried on.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
But when did you because I'm trying to work out, because you came to Stoneleigh, didn't you? And then you came up to Penrith as well.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think when that was. That because I mean I know Penrith, I was in Scotland at the time, so that
Yeah.
would have been, yeah, because we met in the middle, didn't we? The Titros, which was Penrith.
That wasn't the middle, love. You,
No, that was a long way.
yeah,
Well, it was kind of north.
that was not middle.
Okay, no, it wasn't quite in the middle. I had a good journey out of that one. But Penrith was great. So I've been in Scotland 10 years, so it must have been about 8 years ago. And you were doing photography then as well, weren't you?
Yes, yeah. I started so I obviously had the dog training business was taking off, and I started sort of taking up photography as a hobby.
Uh-huh.
And because, you know, dog training was my hobby, and then that became my business.
Uh-huh.
I needed another hobby. And so I took that up and I really enjoyed it. And then people started commenting on the photos that I was taking. And then one of my friends said, "Oh, my company would really like you to come and do some photography at our, what do you call it? Conference.
Mhm.
That's for an insurance company." And I was like, "Well, okay." I mean, I'm a yes person. So I was like, "Yeah, okay. I'll work out how I'll do that along the way." Um, and um, and then she said, "Well, so that we can invoice you, so that we can pay you, we need an invoice.
Mhm.
So you're going to have to, tell us where to invoice." And so Fat Hen Photography was born. I don't know why I called it that, but that's what it was called. And and I got paid for that job, and then I just continued, doing more of the photography, and I tied that in with the dog training business and did a bit of pet photography because, I had people's dogs there, and they would, they like to have those photos of their dogs out. We did a bit of the whale eye and the treat catching.
Uh-huh.
They look really good. I did a bit of that for charity as well,
Mhm.
for the ex-police dogs charity. That went down really well. I can't remember how much we raised, but yeah, that was
No,
pretty
it's
good.
good. because I remember the Fat End Photography. I thought it was a fantastic name,
Yeah,
and the photos are brilliant as well. And
thank you.
how far did you go with your dog behavior before your accident? Were you doing like specialist stuff and aggression and
Yeah, I did a little bit of aggression. I would have liked to have done a bit more training in that before taking it any further. I took on some of the, I would say, lower level stuff, and anything else I forwarded on to somebody with more experience. But most of my dog training and behavioural stuff was, it was very sort of generic, I would say. I would generally go and visit people that, had just got a puppy and wanted to start off on the right foot. What else did I do? There was a lot of, stopping dogs from eating things out of bins, stopping, trying to help them to train their dogs not to bark at the postman at the window, that sort of thing. Yeah, so that was kind of where I went with it. And then the pandemic happened, and that was sort
yeah.
of that was the end, really. But I loved it. It was I really enjoyed my time doing the training, the behaviour, and all of that. It was really great.
And you were volunteering as well, weren't you? Were you volunteering before the pandemic, or did that like for the NHS? Did you volunteer for the NHS? Did you work? I can't remember.
No, no. So volunteering, that's more recent. I've
Is
been
it? Okay.
volunteering. Yeah, I volunteer with the Spinal Injury Association now. But no, so up to that point, oh yes, I did. I did do some volunteering. You're right. I'd forgotten about that bit. Well remembered, Liz. Yes. No. So when the pandemic happened, I closed my businesses because there wasn't no work
Yeah.
at that time. I wasn't entitled to any support, so I wasn't quite sure what to do with myself, and I thought I read a book once called "Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway."
Oh yes.
Have you ever read that?
Oh, once or twice.
Yeah, and there's a motto in there that says, "At a time when you don't know what to do, do something positive."
Uh-huh.
And it's always stuck with me, just that one little phrase. And at that time, I didn't know what to do, so I thought, well, I'll volunteer somewhere and I'll help get people's prescriptions and shopping and that sort of thing whilst we're in lockdown. But I discovered in my area there wasn't anywhere, unless I wanted it. Yeah, there wasn't anywhere. Just trying to think. No, there wasn't anywhere nearby that was actually offering anything for our local village or the neighbouring village. So I decided to start a voluntary group. And what did I call it? I can't remember what I called it now. So East Burgolt COVID-19 support group.
Okay.
And so I think it was about a couple of days before lockdown, actually. I put out a note on Facebook in my local community groups to say, look, I want to start something. If anybody else wants to come and start it, just meet me at this pub, or it was a pub. And two other people turned up. It might have been a few more than that. I think maybe two, maybe five. And we started the COVID-19 support group. And I told them what I wanted to do, and they were like, "Yeah, okay, let's do that." So off I went, and we started that, and I advertised for volunteers, and I just basically set up this whole organisation, and we ended up with 80 volunteers, and I had team leaders, and I separated it out into people that were collecting prescriptions, people that were doing food shops, So they were one group, and then the next group was support phone calls for people, you know, that were lonely or isolated. And then we also had, I had a pet dog walking service. So if somebody needed to go into hospital, they weren't able to leave their home to walk their dog, I had people prepared to go and walk dogs for those people.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and we had it wasn't massive, we had about 50 calls a week at the time. But it did take a fair bit of work in an organisation to pull it off. But we did it, and it went really, really well. And I got a little certificate from Parliament to say thanks for what you did. And we actually took it another step further in the end, and we actually started up by using the local church to host a food bank and a resources library. So it had books and games and puzzles and things like that. And, you know, if the people that were going to deliver food parcels, you know, if those people that were the residents needed anything, then we would take them some puzzles or games for the kids to, you know, change it up a little bit, give them something new to do, or colouring books for adults that were a bit bored at home, that sort of thing. So that was my volunteering bit that I forgot.
That's
How could you have forgotten that?
That's amazing, isn't it? Well, the rest of us just stayed at home eating.
But then at the same time, whilst that was all kicking off, I then had applied for a job in the NHS, and I got that job as well. So I was doing that and also working full time for the NHS, and I was working out in the community as a therapy assistant. It was more really, you know, care, because a lot of the care agencies weren't running at that time, and people were being discharged really quickly out of hospital. So there was this gap that needed filling between the care agencies being able to pick up these people that had been discharged from hospital and the hospital discharging them. So, you know, there would be sort of between 1 and 6 weeks where we would go in every day and, you know, make sure they were taking their meds, make sure they were doing their exercises, and do any personal care as well. So I was doing that full time. So that was pretty scary, going into people's homes, and some of them had COVID, and, you know, we were all masked up and gowned up, and but I really felt like I was doing something, and it, you know, it was great.
It's really the experiences different people have through COVID is just phenomenal, isn't it? It's the different experiences. Everybody had a different COVID. Everyone had a different lockdown.
They did, and for me, it didn't really happen because I just worked through it. You know, I was out in the community all the time, in people's homes, driving around, and
Did you get COVID early on or not? Were you worried about getting it? I mean, obviously not. I suppose you put that to one side and cracked on with the good, didn't you? But
yeah, it didn't worry me too much. I mean, you know, there was obviously protocols at the hospital and out in the car. You know, there's a lot of hand gel was got through, and a lot of masks, and a lot of gowns. But yeah, I got it when I started working on the wards. So I finished in the community, and I started working in the wards instead, and I got it quite quickly. And then, yeah, I still haven't got my sense of smell back. And I ended up with brain fog. So
yeah, it hangs around. It definitely hangs around. So what happened after COVID, Claire?
What happened after COVID? So after COVID, well, I was still working on the wards, and then I'd met this lovely man, and my lovely Luke, and we were about to move in together, and I had a little place that needed emptying, and I'd just passed my motorbike test, so I had my full license, and I'd just got a motorbike, and I think it was about a month after I got my motorbike. I was about to empty my place and move it all into Luke's place, and I thought, oh, it's a really nice sunny day. So I said, oh, Luke, could you get my bike out? Because actually we had steps down to the road from our house. And he had a ramp. So, and I wasn't brave enough to take my 150 kilo, whatever it is, bike down this ramp.
A
So
hell of a
he got
bike.
that. Yeah, so he got it out for me. And I thought I'll go out for a ride first. And yeah, and then I went out for a ride and I was feeling on top of the world and it was amazing. It was a lovely sunny day. Went down to Harwich for a hot dog and a cup of tea. Sat on the on the wall by the sea, having a lovely time, thinking, I've made it because I've got this bike license, and I was feeling very empowered. That's the word I was looking for, empowered. And on the way back, I had an accident and woke up in a field and got airlifted to Adam Brooks and have severed my spinal cord at T7. Had many other spinal fractures and fractured 9 ribs and my left shoulder blade. And now I'm paralysed from T5 is my level of sensation, as they call it.
Okay.
So it's fairly high up,
It's right between the shoulder blades, isn't it? T5
That's
is
right.
right smack bang in the middle of the
Yeah.
shoulder blade line.
Yes, yeah. I say right on your bra line. I say it's right there. Yeah. And so I am permanently paralysed. I have a complete spinal cord injury from T5.
That's called, wow. Because I can remember you getting your bike, and I remember you put a photo up. I think it was a little video. I think Luke had done a little video of you
Yeah.
riding out on it.
Yeah, that's my
And you were
first
like,
go.
this is, first shot on my bike with my full license, and it was an amazing bike. And
Yeah.
then the next thing I saw was you having your accident, and I was shocked
Yeah.
and horrified. And watching your recovery has just been amazing, because you now volunteer for, as you said, for the spinal injuries as well, don't you? So you're back
Yeah.
in service, if you like, in a different way.
Yes. Yeah, it was a strange day, that, because you can go from feeling really on top of the world to not so much in like a split second. And it was just a silly just a silly mistake that I made on a country lane. I was only doing about 40 miles an hour, and I just got my road positioning slightly wrong and stopped looking where I wanted to go, and started looking where I didn't want to go, because I was thinking I want to avoid those cars coming around the corner. And the more I looked at them, the more the bike stood up rather than leaning left around the corner. And it just stood up and just went in a straight line. And I just clipped the wing mirror of one of these cars, and there was this big flat open field in front of me. And I thought to myself, well, I'm going off the road. I'm just going to wobble to a stop. I thought that's what would happen. But I just happened to hit a little grass verge that was just, I don't know, maybe a foot high. It wasn't very high. And I just hit that, and it catapulted me into the air, and I stayed with the bike and just, cartwheeled through the air, still attached to the bike. And I assume that the bike crushed me. And then I woke up in the field, and I just knew from that point on, I couldn't feel my legs, and I was very calm. I didn't panic about it or anything. And the paramedics were there from the air ambulance, and I've met them since, and they said it was really strange that I was so calm, and I just told them that I would never walk again, and they said we couldn't believe how calm you were about it all. And then I went off in the helicopter. I think that's probably the most traumatic part for me and the thing that has bothered me since is the sound of helicopters.
Oh, okay.
Um, and yeah, I don't know why. It's the only thing that really troubles me. I don't have any other, symptoms of
Trauma. Yeah.
No, just that.
That thing. But I mean,
Just that
sound
thing.
is the sound is huge, isn't it? Because it's like you hear it,
Mhm.
so it's the first thing in the womb you can hear sounds, and it's the last thing
Mhm.
to go when you die, and it's just so amazing for humans. It really goes in very, very deep. Craigie. Um, Claire, can you remember one? Because one of the things I really wanted to talk to you about was because I can remember chatting to you after your accident and how you know how you feel about dogs now when you see, because like you've worked with dogs, you've worked with low level aggression, you've worked with dogs around the house, and to go from somebody who was working with dogs to now somebody who's in a chair. And I can remember you saying you feel uncomfortable. I'll use the word uncomfortable when you
Yeah.
have a dog coming towards you. How has that like changed how you feel towards dogs and around dogs? And I think
Yeah.
knowing how dogs can be compared with somebody who's not, like we always say, we've got a really almost like a bias against dogs almost because we see the worst of them as the
Yeah.
behaviourists. We see the biting, the jumping up, the
Yeah.
mobbing. And so we look at dogs and go, oh, I'm not going to put my face near a dog's face and we're not going to do this
Yeah.
because we know what they're capable of, which
Yeah.
is very different to somebody, I suppose, who's only ever seen the fluffy side of dogs in a chair. So
Yeah.
how do you feel now, like when you see dogs or when you're out in your chair and there's dogs and
Yeah. I feel way more vulnerable now, because exactly that I spot those signs of a dog. The dogs have clocked me way before the owners have. And
Mhm.
I see the head goes down, the ears go a bit flat, the dog's seen me. Um, and I can tell by his body language that it's not sure. This is something different coming towards it that it's not seen before. I've had dogs that I've met whilst being out on my whizzy off-road chair in the woods, and this dog has come around the corner and there are no owners in sight, and the dog was really barking at me and just alert barking. So it's like, what is this? And I just what do you do? As a standing person, I would be able to turn my back or defend myself, but while seated, you're lower down. Um, if the dog had wanted to come and jump up at me, even if it's just friendly, um, it could really damage my skin. I've got no way of turning away from it. If it wants to come and, jump all over me and lick my face, I've got no way of protecting myself from that. Um, and it takes quite some time for the owners to notice, if they notice at all, that their dog has, you know, had this, has been alerted to this thing that's different.
Mhm.
Because they're often on their phones, they're chatting, they're not really interacting with their dog, whether that dog's on a lead or
Mhm.
not. They're not really interacting or there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 'Cause we have problems all the time with dogs, don't we,
Yeah.
Ross?
Yeah, that's life, isn't it? People, like you said, they're on their phone, they're walking. Literally, I'll be walking my dogs in the evening, or like,
Yeah.
and people are coming towards you, their phone in their hand, Any minute now, you're going to collide with a couple of Rottweilers, buddy. What are you doing? Look up.
Exactly.
You know, it's just
Yeah.
on. But I've not, I hadn't experienced because, as you know, my mum is also in a wheelchair, and it's not something that she's ever kind of meant. I mean, she's got dogs, but it's not something she's
Yeah.
ever. I've never thought about it. Kind of, I suppose, either the vulnerability or the fact that dogs kind of mark you out as something as an unusual kind of visual. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It may be because I'm, as Les has said, perhaps I'm a bit more attuned to, concentrating on the dog and I'm on that eye level with them. So I see them.
Do you think
Um,
that's the majority of dogs that? Do you think the majority of dogs have some kind of unusual kind of response, or it's not quite what I mean. A
yeah.
kind of triggered into some kind of element of suspicion or something. There's something different, or do you?
Yeah. I think dogs obviously they spot things way before we do as humans. Um, and I notice that they've spotted me way sooner. And I think those that are well socialized, um, they just have a look and then, carry on with their day. And then I think other ones that aren't so well socialized or perhaps a little bit more easily, I can't think of,
Roused.
yeah, easily aroused. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Um, they, yeah, they find it all a bit more exciting and a bit more, ooh, that's
Mm.
different. Um, but I did actually ask this question recently on a Facebook group that I'm part of for people with spinal cord injury, and asked if anybody else had had any experiences like that. And I did get some feedback from some people saying that they had had those experiences. I had, and they said I'm allowed to share. So um, one lady said that she was staying at her brother and sister-in-law's house, and they had a very bouncy Labrador. She was laying in bed. She's paraplegic, and the Labrador was came and jumped on the bed in the morning, and just got very overexcited very quickly. And the only thing that this lady could do was to push the dog away. And so she then was pushing the dog, which was, obviously making it more aroused, and it was more fun. And it then started to snap at her and, take these big jumps and leap and snap at her. And the only thing she could do was hide under the duvet and call for help because she couldn't do anything else. And she felt incredibly vulnerable at that time. And the owners just didn't have a clue that that was an issue. Um, some other people who actually have dogs have said, they feel a bit vulnerable because their dogs are on a lead and under control, but other people's dogs come up to them. Because they've got a dog, the other dog's interested in their dog, even if it's not in them. And then they feel, again, very vulnerable. Um, and there's also people with spinal cord injuries that are still walkers, but they have crutches, and they also feel quite vulnerable because they're worried that people's dogs are going to run into them and knock them over when they're not under control. So, I think there's a lot of vulnerability out there because people don't necessarily have their dogs under control, as we know.
Mm. Mm.
That's
Um,
probably what it's about, isn't it? Like you said, because I mean, like the elderly, pregnant mothers, you know,
yeah,
there's lots of people, like I say, that probably feel vulnerable, and a lot of that is due to kind of the society or the culture of how dogs behave generally. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. Um, so yeah, and it can be quite scary because you just can't run away, or not that you'd want to run away, but you can't turn your back on them. You can't stand up. You're not higher than them, or um, able to kind of deal with it.
Yeah. That
Um,
bed scenario, you'd like if you had the Labrador jump on you, you'd get up, wouldn't you, and get the dog off the bed and empower you
yes,
physically. Whereas you
yeah,
can't do that. You just
Yeah,
playing with the dog and fueling it, really.
exactly. And I wonder if dogs sense, perhaps in that moment, if that dog sensed a level of weakness, and
Mhm.
you know,
Mm.
perhaps the dog thought that it was a bit higher up the tree than the person in the bed. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't take them long to get the upper hand, does it? Do you know, to work
No,
out I can play this game. This is all cool.
exactly. Yeah.
Out of control. No, it's not something you really think about, because when we spoke, Claire, I thought, oh, that is, you don't think about it. When we've spoken a lot about when you go and see dogs as a behaviourist, you always end up sitting on really low couches, and the
Yeah.
dogs jump all over you, and you then have to kind of scramble out of the couch to put yourself
Yeah.
in a better position, a position of safety. And certainly with some dogs, you would never sit down anyway with them. And when we had that conversation, I thought, oh my God, that's really scary. It's just something you don't think about. And
No.
people protect babies. So if somebody saw a buggy coming towards them with a child in it, they would hopefully like stop the dog mobbing the buggy. But I suppose if it's an adult in a chair, they wouldn't quite have the same um, attitude towards it. Maybe it's like, oh well, you're an adult, you can deal with it, rather than with a child. So it hadn't really entered my head, and I thought it was so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people, they're okay with their dogs coming over to you, and they say, oh, it's all right. It's
They're friendly.
friendly. It's all right. They're friendly. And you think, well, actually, I still would rather that your dog wasn't coming over to me at the moment, unless I invite them over, But people seem to want to impose their dogs on you sometimes, don't they?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
Yeah.
they really do. They really do.
so they love them, and they think everybody else should love them just as much.
Yeah.
Are you
So
kind of, because that all sounds, because that's kind of sensible, isn't it? So it's not like irrational, because it's a sensible kind of fear, if you want to call it that, or a sensible kind of conclusion that you're in a vulnerable position. Do you have kind of like a fear of dogs running alongside that now, or not really? It's just literally the practicality of that vulnerability.
no, it's just the practicality. I don't think I have a fear of dogs at all. I just think, um, yeah, I just feel quite vulnerable.
Mm.
Um, and it is just, mostly because I know that the owners haven't really spotted me, and then I don't trust them to be in control of their dog should their dog decide to, take an interest.
Mhm.
Mm.
And I think the dogs are just doing what dogs do and being interested, and it's just their natural behaviour. Um, it's just, yes, it's just the humans that are at the other end of that lead that,
Mm.
make you feel a bit vulnerable.
Yeah.
Do you have any what I'm losing the word. It's not a deterrent that I was thinking of, but have you got any little routine that you would do if a dog got a little bit over the top with you? Or is there any way that you can defend yourself? Or I'm thinking back
Mm.
to like an umbrella, carrying an umbrella if a dog goes to jump up
Oh
on
yeah,
an
that's a good
umbrella.
idea.
That's
No, I
quite
didn't.
an oldie. Like even the tiny little handbag ones that you can just press and
Yeah,
it opens up in front of the dog. Or um,
that
I
would
mean,
be
I
a
don't
good
I don't
idea.
like the sprays, the pet practice sprays, or I don't like them. But have you got
No.
anything like in your chair just in case you do get that chocolate? I'm not going to say black, but that chocolate Labrador that comes bowling towards you, launches itself at you from 10 feet away.
Yeah, no, I haven't got anything. I mean, other than if I'm out with my camera, I've got my tripod.
That'll
Um,
do.
just
Catch.
just poke them with that maybe. I tend to just what I do, I just tend to not try to make too much eye contact. I try, turning my chair more side on so that I'm not just at that eye level, facing them directly in
Uh-huh.
a threatening sort of a way. I try to make myself as unthreatening as possible
Mhm.
um, when I'm passing them. That's the best that I can do. Or like I say, if I'm on, if I'm out on a photography trip, then I will, yeah, I would,
Brilliant.
I'd have that.
Cool. And how's the photography going before we leave you? Because
Yeah,
your photos are amazing, seeing them like at a different angle. How are you enjoying the photography and from a tray, different
yeah,
perspective?
I really enjoy it. It's been it's been quite difficult adapting um, because cameras are quite heavy, and having a level of injury where mine is, I don't have any abdominal muscles or very few. So balance is quite an issue. If I put my hands up and if I've got anything heavy in them, then I kind of tip forward a little bit. So I've had to learn a different way of doing things. Um, I have an app on my phone, so I can control the camera through the app on my phone, so I can see what my camera is seeing. So I can put it down on the floor or at different heights to me,
Mhm.
and then have all the settings through the app on my phone, so I can still take the photo myself, um, which is really handy. It's so useful to be able to do that.
Mm.
Um, yeah, no, and I'm getting back into it slowly. Um, I'm really enjoying doing some landscapes and a bit more creative stuff. Um, take photos of the family.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah,
Just
well,
stay away
I've
from those Great Danes.
yeah, yeah. Don't go back to doing pet photography, huh?
I did think about it, but yeah, I did think
Would
about doing
you?
some studio work instead of you know doing it out in public, because then you've got more control over the environment. You can set the picture up better.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, no, I would still consider doing all of
Great.
that stuff. Um, but
I mean, your
yeah,
dog photos were great. The whole treat thing was brilliant. You know, there was such good fun. Great photos.
yeah, no, I really enjoyed doing that for charity. That was really good fun.
Mm.
Um, yeah, no, it was all good. And now that I've got my wheelchair with the electric add-on, being able to get out into nature again is really good. And getting on the beach, being able to get to the shoreline to be able to take a photo, it's really important for your well-being. And um, just feeling like you're contributing to society and making a difference is really
I think you've
powerful.
definitely done that, haven't you? You know, throughout COVID and everything else, I think you've definitely contributed and made a difference to a lot of people, I should think.
Mm.
Yeah, I still try to. I mean, yeah, I think that's what people want, or certainly what I want, is to feel like you're part of everything.
Mhm.
Um, and so I do that through photography. I volunteer for the Spinal Injuries Association. I go to see people in hospital who are newly injured. And I do a community group once a month for people that have been through hospital, been to rehab, and now they're back out in the community. So we meet up once a month. And I still work 3 days a week as well, um, for the NHS and the council. So
Wow.
yeah,
God, Claire, I really admire you. I've got so much respect for you.
uh,
I think what you do is awesome.
thank
I really
you.
do. I think the whole you know, it would be so easy just to stay in your bubble, and you're out there helping people through a really traumatic time in their life and showing how you can adapt what you do and still enjoy life. I tip my hat off to you. I think you're awesome.
Thank you. I don't know that I feel very awesome. It's just what you do. I think there's
It's
two
what you do.
choices, isn't there?
It's what you do. It is.
Yeah. Oh,
Ah, and on that note, shall we say thank you so much for coming in and chatting to me and Ross? It's been fascinating.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been lovely to have a chat and a catch up.
No, it's really cool. And when you start your photography again, let us know, and we'll drop some links out over the socials for you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely. You'll be
you.
lining up. Thanks very much, Claire. Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. It's not just gun dogs and not just guard dogs, but all things canine, as we hope you have discovered. Please like, share and subscribe and help us spread a bit of common sense back into dog ownership. And a review wouldn't go amiss either. Catch up with Lez and Ross again in about 14 days for more canine conversations. Until next time, stay well and enjoy your dogs. Any dog related questions or topics, just drop an email to talk@cfba.uk or message us via facebook.com/gundogs and guard dogs podcast.